Schönen guten Tag, ich begrüße euch wieder heute bei Language Place. Also heute haben wir wieder ein Thema, das sehr, sehr wichtig ist, und das ist Zahlen von 101 bis 100.000. I'm happy you're here again this morning. You're welcome by Language Place. And today we have a topic that is important, interesting. And the topic is counting from 101 to 100,000. Okay, it sounds big. I'm going to go from 101 to 100,000, but there's a formula for that. You're going to get it now. Okay, we want to start right away, but then we need to remember that we have gone from 0, that's 0, to 100. But then I want to remind you and give you a tip, what you can use to remember this number that makes it easy for you to learn. And that's why I have a bitte beachten. Please note, from 0 to 12, you just have to learn it by heart. Just memorize it. And once you know 0 to 12, it becomes very easy for you to build other numbers. Actually, 0 to 12 is like the foundation. Now we have from 13, very simple. From 13 to 19, you just need to add 3 to 10. Okay? So we have 13, for instance. We have 3 plus 10. 13. That is 13, as you have learned before. And 14, you can just go on and on and on like that. You can 14, you just need to add 4. 4, you remember? 4 plus 10. 4, 10. That's 14. And then 15, you had 5 plus 10. 15. 15. And you're making progress. And then we come to the next one, 16. What is 6 in German? Sechs. Okay. So we have sechs, 10. But hold on. In German, this S will not be there. So, therefore, if you take away this S, you have 16. 16. So please note that this S will not be there when you get to 16. So I'm going to write the right one now. So for 16, 6. And then you remove the S and then plus 10. Okay? Then 19. 9, okay? 9, 10. Yeah? I've jumped one. This is 13. 14, 15, 16, and then we have 17. So let's go back to 17. 17 is 7 plus 10. So look at it. This is 7. But then, remember, we did something here. We're going to do something here again. Instead of sieben, there's no word like this. You take away the en, and then you have 17. Okay? And then we go on, and then with the next one, 18. 18. Then we come to 19. 9 plus 10. 9. 10. And then the last one, just master it, that is 20. 20. Okay, so with this, you have a clear formula of how to remember from 13. 3 plus 10, 13. 4 plus 10, 14. 5, 10. 6, 10. You remove the S. 17, 17. You remove the en. And then 18, 19. And then 20. Okay, so that's the first thing we need to know before we go on to the the major thing today. And then from 20, you begin to add this particular, you had this zig. So we have 20. And when you want to get to 30, of course, you know it, 30. But then note, the 30 has a bit of a peculiarity. 30. In the case of 30, this one is not a Z, but it's the double S. Okay? So we have 30. But then immediately you leave that place, you come to 40, 50, 60, 80, 90, and then 100. So that's where we're actually aiming at. That's where we want to get to. But remember, when we get to 30, please note this particular change. The question is why? Why is it that we have been using tick and then we come to 30 and it becomes a problem? It's simply because, look at this, there are two vowels here. Okay, and that is what is influencing the arrival of that, the usage of that double X. Then when we get to sexish, I think we have talked about, okay, sexish, remember, let me just write it. We are talking of 60. And remember, 60 is Zex, Zek, Sig. The S will drop. So we will not write it sexic, but we take away the S. So we have, that means this one is wrong. And then we have sec, sick. So those are the things to note from null to hundert. Those are the things we need to know. And the same thing is applicable to sipsich. And if you note very well, these two, there was an adjustment. The same adjustment will be done when we are talking about 60 and talking about 70. So if you want to write 70, it won't be sieben, sick, it will be sipsich. Write it here, sip, sick. Yeah? It will be sip, sick. So those are the things that must be taken into consideration as we talk about the numbering. So with this revision, we want to come to the topic of today and want to see how to move from 101 straight down to 100,000. 100,000. I need to remind you that German has a peculiarity. The peculiarity is writing things together and then you end up seeing one word become very long. Well, it might be irritating to some people, but it's interesting to me. And I think it should be interesting to you too, because it is a peculiarity of the language. And you're going to see it manifest, even in numbers. That, in English you say 120, you write it in words, and you separate it one after the other. German will match everything together, and if care is not taken, you might even lose your track. But then let's see how it goes. So, we know this one. This is 100. German will say 100. Say it after me. 100. And I want you to remember something. One is called eins. One is eins. 100 is 100. The S is not there. So we have 100. So by the time you imagine 1 and 100, the S will fall off. Okay, then we have 101. We have 101. The S has come back. 101. After that, of course, because you know 1, 2, 3, and all that, you can all just be adding. We have 102 will be what? 102. 103, 103. 104, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108. And then you move on and on until you get to the next one, which is 200. And 200, very easy. Just take the format from here. This is 100. 200 will be 200. 200. And you see 300. 300. What of 400? 400. 500? 500. 600? 600. 700. 800. 900. Can you see? I'm already on 1,000 very soon. I'm there. And we come to this place. 1,000. 1,000. Okay, 1,000. And then we are just there. We're already on 1,000. And very simple. Once you know 1, no problem. And remember again, this is 1, but in 1,000, the S is gone. 1,000. You don't put S here. Okay? And then 2,000, 2,000. 3,000, 3,000. 4,000, 4,000. 5,000, 5,000. You just keep on counting, and alas, we are now on 10,000. How do you call that? 10,000. 10,000. Okay? Of course, this is 2,000. Good. And then, just like that, we are now in 95,000. I believe you remember 90,000. I mean, you remember 90, and then you remember 95. 95 is what? 5 unnoisig. That is 95. And then we just need to say, this is a bit long, be patient. 5 und 9 1000. Oh, 95,000. So you just see 5 and 90,000. 95,000. And I told you in our last video that you count from the back to the front. 5 and 90. In English, 95. In German, 5 and 90. So we have 95,000. This is interesting. Before we do the last one, which is the last number where we are going, I want to introduce one interesting number to you, and that is, let me just write it here. Now look at this one. This is 6,121. Well, it's just interesting to me that. So I want to see it so that to prove the way German put things together in an interesting way. Okay, so what is that? This is 6,121. But before we come back to this, I want us to come back here up. This is 121. So how do we say this? 121. 121. So we say 100. 100. Remember, 21, it will be 1 and 20. 100, 120. Okay, I repeat. 100, 120. 100, 120. And then we have another one here. What will this one be? Of course, 231. I write it. 200. 31. Remember 30? Yeah, it's getting long, little by little. Okay, then before we go to the last one, which is 100,000, why don't you try this one? 6,121. 6,121. So let's take off 6. Remember 6? 6,000, 1,000. 100, 100. 6,121. So this space cannot take it. Then I put my hyphen. Und 20. 20. Oh, very long, but interesting. Okay, 6,121. Let's check it little by little. 6,121. So, but then here, there's something we need to note. Let me write it again. I actually want you to occupy a whole line so that you see how long that small number can be. Let me quickly write it again. So let's take it step by step. 6,000. 6,000. 100. 6,121. Oh. It's still not occupying one line, but that's what makes it interesting. So this is this. Now we come to the last one, which is the 100,000, or if you like, 100,000. I'll create a space for it here. And I will try to write a small letter. I think it should occupy a line. So we are talking about this. 100,000. Very simple. 100,000. Okay, 100,000. So we are there. We are now on 100,000. And very simple. From 100,000, you can keep moving on. Of course, 200,000, 300,000, 500,000. Just keep on, okay? And until you get to any number. Okay. So with that, we want to come to the end of this, and I want you to just try the numbers out and see how far you can progress. But then before we round up this topic, we want to use some of these numbers, we want to use them in small sentences. So we'll go to that now.